All right, we're good. All right, good evening. I'd like to call this regular school board meeting to order. Today is Monday, December 9th. Time is 7 o'clock. First order of business is a pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, let the roll reflect that all members are present with the exception of Lance Rungstad, and Dave will be coming later. Was this meeting properly notified?
Yes, it was. And as a reminder, it's being live streamed and recorded.
Okay. Welcome to all of our visitors. Nice to see everybody here tonight. Is there any public comment? Okay, then we'll move on to highlight on youth. We have the middle school cross grade level advisories. 8th grade language arts teacher, Maria Paulson. Welcome.
Hi.
Come on up.
All right, can I take this up a notch?
Yes, absolutely.
I know there's a button, I just don't know how. Is it right here? Yeah, okay. Awesome. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Guys. Okay. All right, you guys ready to roll? Okay, here we go. I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to share about our cross grade level advisories at the middle school. For the past 3 months, I have had the privilege of starting the school day with 14 amazing students from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. A couple of them are right back here with me, and you're going to get to hear from them too. In the past, our advisories were larger and single grade level. Our new approach of cross grade level advisories this year has truly helped to foster a more interconnected and supportive middle school community. Within these different age advisories, students are engaging in meaningful discussions, building friendships, and developing essential life skills. We often gather in our classroom's cozy little living room to explore topics like meal planning, email and text communication, and the complexities of social media. Our safe space encourages open conversations and personal growth. And you can kind of see our little living room area there, that we've got a couch there and a couch on the other side, and we just kind of have a little cozy spot that we meet in. The benefits of this new approach to advisory have truly been wonderful. Students are learning from one another, gaining valuable perspectives, and developing a strong sense of community that goes beyond their grade level. Each advisory has between 13 and 14 students total. This allows for more personalized attention, enabling advisors like me to check in with students academically, socially, and emotionally almost every single day. This enhanced sense of connection is positively impacting students' academic performance, mental health, and overall well-being. What I experience most as an advisor is the true sense of belonging that our cross-grade level advisories offer. Brene Brown, a well-known researcher that researches vulnerability and shame, says that true belonging doesn't require that we change who we are. It requires that we be who we are. That's exactly what I see in these students every day. It's inspiring to witness the authentic connections they form and the supportive environment they create for one another to truly belong. Now, I'd love for you to hear directly from some of my advisory students about their experiences in advisory. So we've got Jonah, Akari, Eve, and Lucy are all going to talk, and Emma's going to come on up too. And all of you can come. This one or this one?
That one.
Okay, start with that one first.
Hi, my name is Jonah. I am happy in Mrs. Paulson's advisory class. She is very nice and cares about me. I like to see my friends each morning. It is a fun way to start my day. Thank you. Jonah, advisory might seem like just another class. It's so much more that. It's a place where we can be others, ourselves, cannot, with others and learn important life skills. My favorite part of advisories is when we learn life skills such as how to laundry and vacuuming.
Thank you, Jonah. Right, I'm over here in the car. You're next.
One of the best things, one of the best things about advisory is a chance to share our stories. We get to talk about our experiences, our opinions, and our ideas. It's amazing to hear what other people are going through and know that we're not alone. Besides sharing, we also do a lot of fun activities. We play games, decorate our door, and have advisory parties. On birthdays, we celebrate by writing affirmations on the board behind the person whose birthday it is. After that, they get to read all the good stuff we wrote. Sometimes they read things they don't even know about themselves. It's cool to make people feel good like that. These activities help us to have fun and build lasting friendships.
But advisory isn't just about fun and games. We also learn important skills like time management, problem solving, and goal setting. My favorite skill we've worked on in advisory is how to make an important phone call using proper greetings and closings. These skills will help us succeed in life and in school.
For us older students, advisory offers leadership opportunities. We can take on roles like group leaders, activity planners, and mentors for younger students. These roles help us develop our leadership skills and make a difference. As you can see, advisory is more than just a class. It's a place where we can be ourselves, learn new things, and make new friends. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be part of this advisory. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us, for these guys?
What's your favorite part of advisory, Keith?
Probably, I don't know, just being able to sit on the couch.
Would you change anything about it? Any of you?
I wouldn't.
Did you have it last year?
No,
No, this is a brand new experience for everybody.
yeah.
Very cool. And how long does it last? How
We
many?
start every day,
Okay. And is it like 20 minutes a day or?
yeah, about 20 minutes.
And,
Yeah.
and it's the very start of the day?
Very beginning of the day. Yep, so we start with the pledge, and then announcements, and then, yeah, we have all kinds of activities that are set for every advisory. Every advisory does the same type of thing. But our conversations obviously lead to different things in each room, and it's really cool.
And this group will be for the whole school year? Or do we
Yeah.
change out at semester time?
Yeah, so we actually, what happens is, so, are any sixth graders here? No sixth graders here. Keith and Akari and Lucy are seventh graders. Emma and Jonah are eighth graders. The seventh graders will be with me still next year. The sixth graders that I have will also be with me for the next 2 years. So it's so cool because we get to build this connection that lasts for a number of years, which is cool.
Mhm.
Mr. Lingus, maybe put you in a spot, maybe share with the board with KPIs, student connectedness survey, and kind of the relevance that the advisories have in that regard.
Yeah, so to your question, Erica, advisories have been at the middle school for several years, but the specific part that I wanted them to come share tonight was the cross grade level, kind of like Maria just spoke to at the end, with that connection, not only with the students that they're going to have this family of 13 to 14 for 2 to 3 years based on what grade you're in, but now Mrs. Paulson has this connection with these group of students. As these sixth graders will move up 7th and 8th and become leaders, they're now going to have 6th and 7th graders that are going to be kind of following up there. And I know I'd be curious to see if any of these kids would share. There were some reservations for sure at the beginning of the year. It was new. They had always had advisories with just the kids in their grade level. And just in the few short months, this would be similar things that would be shared out from any. We have 26 advisories throughout the building. And just where they've come just those few short months and how they've made those connections with kids that aren't necessarily in their grade.
Yeah, I can totally speak to that, which like the first week was kind of uncomfortable because not everybody knew each other. Like Emma and Akari, although they're in different grades, knew each other. Lucy didn't have very many people that you knew very well, right? In our advisory, Keith, you knew one other person. So it was at first we're like, oh, and they were all just kind of standing around, not too sure who to talk to. That first week was a little just hard to adjust at first. And then literally it took like 5 days and then they were right in the mix. They all know each other's names like immediately. Cause we do all kinds of things like games, and just a lot of interaction too. So it's not just sitting there. Like I don't just sit and teach anything. It's constant discussion, with everybody. So they're not only knowing each other's names, they know each other's hearts, which is really cool.
In terms of the student connectedness and the student climate survey, the question that this measures, can you repeat that for the board, please?
So fall, winter, and spring, that also isn't a new thing, but we have a myriad of questions that we ask our students about their experiences in the building. Do they feel like they're respected? Do they think our rules are clear in terms of what's expected? Do they believe that positive behavior is noticed? And then one that has been the focus of our student and staff goal for at least the 5 or 6 years that I've worked in administration is I have an adult in the building that I can turn to if I need help with something that I trust. And it's a simple yes or no. And we were able to, with the smarts of Mrs. Palmer, break it down. Not only this year, we always have broken it down by grade level, and grade level teams kind of take that data and go to work in terms of making sure they're making a bond with every kid. But now we have the ability to break it down by advisors. So the first question I think that the students fill out in that climate survey is who is their advisor? And now we can kind of piece that together and cross-reference. Is he saying that he's got a connection with Mrs. Paulson? He sure does. Does Akari say that she's got a connection with Mrs. Paulson? She sure does. I mean, a little shout out here. Yeah, Mrs. Paulson was one of our staff members that already in the fall was batting 1,000. So she had 100% of her students that were already identifying Mrs. Paulson as an adult that they could turn to for help. So not surprising.
Fantastic.
Well, they're awesome kids. So great. I love it. It's such a cool way to start our day, for sure. A great advisory, right, guys? This is just a part of us. We have, how many are there? 4 or 5? So 9 others. Yeah.
Was Kindle.
Yep. You got it. You got it. You guys know. You wouldn't leave anyone out, Hannah. Yep, totally. So they're awesome, inclusive. Just, yeah, it's such a, again, to speak to the, at first it was like, oh my gosh, are we really gonna put 6th graders with 8th graders? Is that gonna be a comfortable thing? Or, you know what I mean? And that has been such a really cool thing. Like I would speak to Lucy as a 7th grader. She is such a leader with her 6th graders, with everybody in the group. And so not even as an 8th grader yet. Yeah, there has not been a problem between 6th and 8th grade at all. There's been a lot of learning and a lot of caring about each other and watching out for each other in the hallways, like goes beyond advisory, which is the hope, right? So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
We're going to help you out back out.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear the audit report?
Oh.
It's pretty cool.
I love all this. And that's like 8th graders helping.
Yeah.
I think that's-
Genius.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's wonderful.
Chance shared this and then he broke it down by teacher. You know, some are not surprising. Some were, you know, it's like, no, like I thought that person would have more, 60%, you know, but her and one other teen, 100%. Like I love looking at that data. So then it's a coaching opportunity. Now that data to say, hey, why are only 60% identified?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we figured you'd duck out too.
Well, I will, Mr. Green knows.
Okay.
Well, you're here for the duration.
I've only got, he's only been here like 63 years, so.
Here.
Dave,
And
Mailman.
Dave made it from the mail room.
slow down.
Carl Malone. Mail.
Mailman. Some of us got it.
Yeah. It's not that old.
All right, here we
You
go.
are.
On track. All right, comments by board members and superintendent. We've got Trinity 4K wraparound update by Tim.
Yeah, I understand that Jen pretty much filled you in maybe last month, but just, there was some misconceptions about the why and why we're transitioning from the Trinity care to the new care or other options. But so as last year was the first year we tried it, and we never had our own 4K wraparound care, and we thought moving the 4K kids into the building and out of Trinity would continue that partnership, kind of a win-win. But we only had 23 kids participate and ended up losing about a little over $50,000, in that endeavor. So when this new opportunity came, we thought, well, I think this would be a good time to transition. So that's the why. And then when we were meeting with the new daycare that was starting up, willing to do this, they were willing to honor and grandfather those prices and things in. So it was a seamless transition for the kids and the family. So we felt comfortable moving forward with that. It was kind of targeted for the middle of this month, December 15th, but I think the new daycares had some hangups with some logistics and licensure stuff. So we're going to continue it until that other daycare is open and have a smooth transition. So that's another week or two or month. Keep you posted.
Thanks, Tim.
And then lastly, just want to thank you all for your support. You find out how big your circle is in your village when something like that happens. So with the loss of my father, I really appreciate everyone reaching out in various forms. And, you understand it, but until you go through it, then I've definitely got complete empathy now for that situation, completely understand how that support is so critical to just the grieving process and the healing process. So thank you very much. It means the world to me.
Okay, moving on to scheduled presentations by guests and staff members. We have Sarah Cobbs of Clifton Larson Allen LLP to present the school audit report. And it's at 8:00.
Homes or Cobbs?
Goals.
Codes.
Richmond?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sarah Goals from Clifton Larson Allen. I performed the audit of the, in charge of the audit for 2023-24. Just to do a kind of a brief overview summary of the audit results. Should have got a little meeting handout that we put out together that kind of summarize stuff. Financial thing that we have. So
It's only 79 pages.
you should be here for this. But so the first thing I want to share is that we had issued an unmodified opinion for the financial statements, which is the best opinion that you can get. So it always helps with your bonding and DPI regulations and stuff. So once I've done it, that was all great work by Jen and the staff. So then we have the management letter. We have just one finding this year for limited segregation of duties. We've had this comment last year and in previous years. It's just that the district doesn't have enough resources to properly segregate the duties and the operations of this. And there's no CPA on staff and stuff. So very common. We have it for most of our clients have it. There's just, you do the best that you can do with that and try to segregate that and put controls in there that, checking other people's work and that kind of stuff. But so that was the same as we've had before. The district was required to have a single audit again this year because your expenses were over $750,000 that were related to federal aid that we received. So with that, we do additional testing. certain criteria that we have to meet for programs that we test. We did not find any findings for the programs that we tested for federal or for state. We're also required to, some of those state grants that you get, do some testing on those as well. We didn't find any findings for that, so that was great. Again, staff does a good job getting everything together that they need and cross-checking all their work and that kind of stuff. So that worked out good. Just some other areas that we also provide assistance with or perform during the audit. We do an examination for the AID certification. The district is required to file their AID certification like the end of August, beginning of September in there. Then the auditors have to come through and do their AID certification. And this is just like a double check that says what we have is what the district has. If there's any errors or whatever, we take care of it at that time. Once the auditors do their work and the DPI approves it, the district is then able to file their annual report that's required by DPI as well. They also help prepare the data collection form. This is required because the district has to have a single audit. So we fill that out, get it all ready. We tell Jen that it's ready. She does her electronic certification on it, saying that she approves that. And then we file that to the federal agencies to meet that requirement as well. And then we also compile the capital asset reports. So we work with guys to come up with the additions, removals. We compile those reports with the depreciation and that kind of stuff. And for that to you guys to use, it has detail of all the items that have been capitalized over the years. So item number 2 is the general fund that we're going to discuss. This is just the general operating fund for the district. This does include Fund 10 and Fund 27 when we talk about the general fund that way. There wasn't any like significant changes that I noticed. Just a couple of things, the accounts receivable, that's mainly related to the building usage fees that the district charged. Due from other governments, that's usually the makes up the majority of it, makes up your due from federal aid and due from state aid. And then there could be some that was charged to districts for different services that you guys provided to those other districts and had a receivable there for. And then you have your prepaid expenses, which changed a little bit from last year. When we get down into the fund balance, the non-spendable amount there, that ties to your prepaid amount. Just set aside, it can't be spent because you prepaid that, so to speak, but they're related to 24, 25 related items, but they were paid ahead of time. The restricted fund balance, that is mainly just some of the grant proceeds that you've received, but didn't have the expenses yet to spend that. So they just sit there and then you'll spend them in 24, 25. Then you have that unassigned fund balance, and the unassigned fund balance is just used to cover all your daily activity of the district. We do put together a little calculation down there for the percentage of unassigned fund balance to the general fund expenses that you had. And you were at 16.9%. For some reason, my eyes are dry, but your fund balance policy is 17 to 9%. Not really worried because it's just a small little change there. But if you look historically, you've been around that 17%. As a whole, we'd like to see it at 25% or at least 4% or 4 months worth of expenses. But you guys have never had an issue with covering any of your expenses or your liabilities. So there's no concern. Just bring it up for you guys to clear up. Then we have your revenues. You'll see that your revenues had increased like 3.8 million compared to the prior year. A lot of that has to do with you had an increase in your property tax revenue that came in. You had your CD control grant that was a major contributor to that, with your SR3 funding. So there's more SR3 funding before. Expenses increased by 3.7%. A lot of that has to do with the PC costs. And you did, just to note, you have 4 finance purchase agreements out there. They're for the buses and one is for the lighting project. And you did pay some of those future debt service requirements. I think it was 382,000 was prepaid. So in 24-25, you don't have any of your finance purchase debt requirements, just because you had done that, because you knew that you needed funds available, you knew that you might have some significant expenses coming up and just put yourself in a better place there. So that contributed as well to the increase in your expenses there. Okay, then on page 2, we have your special revenue funds. You have 3 special revenue funds in place right now. You have your education fund, which is Fund 21. That is used for your fundraising activities, your scholarships. That change in fund balance there can vary depending on what kind of activity you guys have going on in there. This year you did use 25,000 of the Fund 21 to help pay for that small portion of the playground project that was coming in there. Fund 50 is your food service fund. That accounts for all your food service activity. You did have a little decrease there in your fund balance, but that's mainly attributed to you're not getting as much federal aid as you once were. During the COVID, you had all that, you got aid for all the students in there, whether they ate lunch or not. And now it's back to eligibility based. They have to meet certain income criteria, family size, or whatever to get the funding out. And then you have your community services fund, that's Fund 81 and 82. And here they're combined together. That varies just depending on kind of stuff that you guys have going on. Like you mentioned, your kids club had more activity than what it had before. And then you also made other changes there. The next fund is the debt service fund. That is Fund 38 and 39. It's used to pay for your principal and interest payments throughout the year that you have coming due. Use that tax revenue aside to help pay for those. You had a significant decrease in that fund balance this year, but you did have your you did have a debt defeasance this year where you paid like 1.3 million in principal that got set aside into an escrow account that you had to pay. But the benefit to the district doing that is that you're saving over $1 million in interest payments going forward. Then you did have for 2023 debt service payment. That was 3.7 million. So between those two, it really took a chunk out of that fund balance. But during 2023-24, you paid 6.6 million in principal payments and 1.6 million in interest payments as well. Then the next one we're going to talk about is your capital projects funds. The district has 2 capital project funds. You have your Fund 49 and your Fund 46. Your Fund 49 you're using for your elementary, middle school, high school projects. You issued debt to be able to pay those costs. During the year, you had over $20 million worth of expenses just because those projects are moving forward and you're getting them done. So that resulted in that change of the fund balance there. Then the other one is your capital improvement trust fund, which is your Fund 46. Back in 14-15, the district passed a resolution to open up this Fund 46. And along with that, you came up with a capital improvements plan. And the intention is that the only way that you could fund this is to transfer money from the general fund into Fund 46 to be able to pay for expenses that fit into that capital improvements plan. When you guys established it, you transferred 50 in there to set it up, and you had 5 years before you could spend that funds, which you're well able to if you had money in there.
We don't.
$50 to get a good part, but and you have all these other projects going on. So, but it is out there and that's what it's for, is that capital improvements plan. And I think you guys say that you have to update that every 10 years or something. Some districts do it every year to look at it or each year.
Every year?
Yes. So we always get a copy of that updated one, even though nothing's being used for it. It's so nice to have that in place. And as time goes, maybe we'll transfer some of that into
So
there.
if we had to change the carpet, add wall mats, fix a basketball hoop, we could take money out of the general fund, throw it in the Fund 46 and spend it that way. But we couldn't spend it directly out of the general fund.
I think it has something to do with your, some of the aid that you get. It's kind of set aside there where they don't deduct, it's not deductible expenses. I think that's the main benefit.
We
That's
can,
what he
we
said.
can spend out of general fund.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can spend it out of the general fund.
Oh.
It was just like,
It's more of a timing issue. So if, say at the end of the year, we had $50,000 we wanted to put in there because we didn't have anything else that we needed to spend it on. We could put it in Fund 46. It's like the money is spent then as far as the state goes.
Oh,
And then we have more time
so it's
to
more of a
actually.
rollover account for the next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then we actually have time to plan how we're
Makes
going
sense.
to use those funds and.
and it's a separate, its own separate bank account as well. So you,
Well, every time you
Segregated
read the
one.
treasurer's report and says there's $54 in it, why don't we just close that one down? But yeah,
Well, I think our 5 years would probably start over again then,
if you
if we closed it.
spent it and closed it,
Yeah.
then I'm not sure what you have to,
Yeah.
just because I
Yeah.
haven't had anyone close it yet. Do you have to create a new resolution for that?
I
If you
think
close it
so,
or
but
whatever, so.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there, that's what it's for. You said every year you guys come up with a new plan and we always get that during the
What
audit. That's
we've done is we've prepaid next year's expenses. Then that reduces next year's budget by that amount that's available for something else. If we put it in this fund, you still pay all those expenses in the next year. So that's what we've been doing by prepaying a bus or prepaying retirement obligations. It makes room in the next year's budget with this year's funds.
Right. And especially for this year, because we had around $1 million worth of ESSER funding in 23-24 that we are not receiving this year. So that was a huge impact to the budget just as a whole. Yeah.
So then the next part is the long-term obligations. You'll see that we have your ending balances for as of 2023-24, what is remaining for the district to pay for your long-term debt. And as I already mentioned, your principal payments during the year were 6.6 million and your interest was 1.6. So this year is just presents that ending balances that the district owes. The other long-term debt, notice the WRS pension liabilities is like an asset. That's up. It's all because you participate in the Wisconsin retirement system. The state hires the actuaries, like come up with this whole calculation. Sometimes it's an asset to the district. Sometimes it's a liability. It just changes between what they do and we never know, but it's kind of a detailed little thing that we have to get into. Usually that's not even come available till October after we're out of here, but then you have your OPEB benefit and your supplemental pension benefit. And that is what the district hires an actuary, I think it's Foster and Foster now, to perform this calculation based off the census data that you send them to come up with those liabilities there. Of course, that can change as people retire or whatever impacts there, people leave the district, whatever.
Yeah, and that continues to drop. I mean, that was
Yeah.
the goal when we went away from post-retirement benefits to the straight 403B. So it's good to see it basically
Yes, 'cause I remember you guys
cut in
paying
half.
it, like, well over $1 million. That's, yeah, you can see it start dropping in 21 and go down. I just don't have the other, but I remember seeing that, so it's nice to see that.
And we
back
actually
so-
had quite a few staff members retire this year, so we added to it, but because we were able to make a prepayment, like Jeff had mentioned, we kept it about the same.
But again, you guys hire that, we get those reports and just kind of summarize it and put it in there. And there's like a few different pages in that financial statement. You can read more about it if you would like. The Wisconsin retirement has quite a few pages in there. So if you want that.
Again, the history for those newer to the board, about how many years ago did we switch? 5 or 6 to straight 403B? Maybe
Gosh, I think it's maybe
6.
been more like 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's a long
been a
time.
while.
We used to have a post-retirement benefit to kind of bridge the gap for retirees between early retirement and Medicare. But, you know, the district said, we need to stop paying employees who don't work for us anymore. You know, when they're done with us, we can, you know, get rid of that expense. So let's pay them as we go. So we had a nice transition plan where people within 5 years and age 50 or something got grandfathered into the full 15,000 a year for 5 years, and then stepped down every 5 years to, I think age 40 or something like that. And then everybody from there on out got, at the time, 1.5% of their salary in a 403B, which, and, you know, they could do whatever they want with it, but in essence, that was to help do that and supplement that. So it's now 2%. I think it'll stay that way in perpetuity, but it was a good strategic move, I think, by the board to do that. And you can see that post-retirement liability now is continuing to drop.
Call that because you guys had a OPEB study and then you made the major change. So then you had to have another full study. So with the OPEB and the pension, 1 year you have a full study done. You send all this census data, and then the next year they just kind of do a roll forward. So it's cheaper for the district too, but you're only required to have it every other year, or if you make major changes in that year, then you would need another one. So the near equalized valuation, you can see that you had an increase in a near equalized value compared to the prior year.
Yeah, that's crazy. In just 3 years, the district's valuation went from 840 million to 1.25 billion. That's how much property values increased in 3 years.
Sweet. And inflation was awesome.
We just have a little calculation down there for the general, your detriment is allowable to be 10% of your equalized value. So you'll see that the district is at 35.3% of their debt limit. So you still have capacity there to take out debt if you wanted to, and you need to pay for it. But we just kind of put that in there so you can see a little measure of where your debt limit is at. So that is all I have at the moment. If you guys have any questions.
You see any areas we can save a buck or two? I realize there was an audit,
Yeah.
but
I mean, there was really, I mean, the stuff that we looked at and stuff, not really, I mean, so much of it, I mean, beyond our control, and I'm sure you guys have controls in place, like if you're gonna buy supplies, are you getting them from, you know, the most cost effective place? So you take out bids for your various projects, and that's the major thing. WRS, your rates, you don't, those are determined by the state, so you can't save money there.
That's just it. I mean, about 80% of what we pay out is staff salaries and
Yeah.
benefits, so.
And
it's
that's
just
all
the other-
already approved.
Do
You
we
know, your
compare our
equipment
percent of debt
purchases.
to any other district, or is that just internal? Simple.
No, there's a chart. You can see that for every, you know, our mill rate against,
Yeah. it's-
that's
but the debt
readily
is on there,
available.
So, but again, the staff does a great job helping us prepare, and we get in here spend a couple days here doing what we can. We try to now kind of do stuff where we're not like, I usually take the day before and just kind of summarize stuff so we can get it to her or to the staff. So they're better prepared. They're not scrambling when we're here to do our testing or whatever. So, our little
Working out
pre-note
really
stuff,
well.
yeah. So
Yeah.
when we do a disbursement testing or payroll testing, we send her the sample, and then the staff just has it sitting there in a pile. So we come through and do what we need to do. Makes it a lot easier for all of us.
Yeah.
Just be better prepared there. So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, over the last few years, we've just had so many different things going on between debt defeasances and
Mhm.
capital projects and all of this stuff, but yet you've still been able to, you know, be here like 2 days for the audit, so I think that's just, you know,
And I come
kudos to
back
all
if
of
you
our
want us-
staff
Yes,
in the district office.
and if I ever need to come back to look at something, certainly I would come. But yeah, we usually get it all in our prelim stuff, so we're not bothering them. I know it's hard when you're coming in, they have their jobs to do and everything, so I just try to make it as easy as possible.
And the number of grants this last year was just
Yeah.
like,
Well,
oh,
your CBTC one will be done this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ESSER is done. And then building projects will hopefully be done, so we can get those capitalized and then. So. but, yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
If you do have questions, feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Yeah, you too.
All right, next up is financial reports. Dave, do you want to read those or?
Sure.
I'm sorry. I'm passing around.
I got it on my screen.
Oh, you do? All right, cool.
So Citizen State Bank checking, if correct, it's negative $9,759.84.
yes, that is correct. We had some checks that we cut and then held until we got our state aid payment on December 2nd, so.
And
It was
then
just a couple of days.
Citizen State Bank money market, $12,286.43. Famous Fund 46 has $59 in it this month. Suicide prevention, $5,224.18. Debt service, $171,746.85. Referendum account is $434,265.53. Second debt service is $155,460.48. For a total balance of $769,282.63.
When we approved the naming of the 4K section, the big debate was whether we were gonna name this fund after Greg. Looks good, yeah.
All right, can I have a motion?
Motion to approve treasurer's report.
Second.
All right, Derek made the motion, Jeff second. Any more discussions? All in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next up is consideration of consent agenda. And we don't have any virtual courses to approve. So I just need a motion and a second.
We will with consent agenda.
All right, Jeff made the motion.
Second.
All right, Brad second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving on to administrative reports, student enrollment update by Tim.
Top matrix there as the number of students in seats is 1,582 students, 4K through 12. Then more towards the bottom right, virtual full-time, those are resident students. Those are students that reside in our district, 38 of which are taking virtual courses full-time. 109 are taking at least one virtual course. And then bottom right, completely in the bottom right is the number of students. And you can see December charter 24, we have 268 students from outside of our district boundaries participating in our virtual courses. And we have 148 students open enrolled from other districts and in our building attending classes in person. So we have over 400 students in our virtual program full time. So that's pretty big number there. And then lastly, just to the bottom one with open enrollment in, open enrollment out, we have 416 students open enrolled in, 131 out for a net of 285. And again, that's pretty rare compared to other districts. Majority are negative. So again, our virtual charter school is doing quite well. And
Is there ever any talk about adding funding for the marketing?
We did. We're moving forward with that in January. And I was going to talk about it in my quarterly check-in, but now's a good time. We discovered some other options as well. We learned more that digital marketing is just when you're like on a web page and those little ads pop up for niece. That's what that is.
Ones that X out right away and don't read.
Exactly. And that was my thought too. So I think there's a couple maybe better options to invest in. One is just straight up Google. So if you go in now and you Google virtual learning Wisconsin, and I did it that day, and we popped up number one. It says sponsored because we pay a small fee. Can't remember what that is off the top of my head. But we might add to that instead is what I'm thinking. And then lastly, Sharon from Intercounty that we do the digital marketing with also has one social. So it's just Facebook and Instagram. And I think, again, our money's better served with ads popping up on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook, more of the parents, Instagram, maybe kids, than these little ads that aren't as noticeable. So I'm right in the middle of making decisions on that. But again, that one's a little more expensive for Facebook. But again, if we did I think it's around 35,000 ads like the other one we currently do, it's still like in the 19,000 a year. It's 2.5 students.
Yep.
So there's certainly an opportunity, and I think a good return on investment to be a good move to invest in some of those other areas. And then we can kind of compare too. The other one, you have to do a 6-month contract, or Google Ads is monthly, the Google stuff. So we had met with her and told her, yeah, let's move forward to that. But then, I said, well, let's pump the brakes. We weren't going to do it until January anyway, when I started looking into more of the Google and the Facebook stuff.
Good question.
All right, next up is the key work of our school board, student, staff, and community recognition. Brad.
Let's see, this month's recipient is Addie Bilcher. Thank you for taking the initiative to lead the first ever Battle of the Books at the elementary school. There is a buzz around the school filled with excitement and love for reading. You are making a big difference here at SCC.
Thank you. Moving on to the notice to the board of automatic rollover provision of the administrator contracts for 25-26.
So this is an annual thing where I provide notice to the board that all administrator contracts will roll over unless the administrator is notified in writing by the board by the end of January.
Thank you. Moving along to core agendas, number 13. First is consideration of preliminary approval of the 25-26 school calendar.
This calendar we're putting before you. Typically, we can kind of look at it in December and approve it in January. Believe it or not, there are staff members and or spouses that are already having to look at their vacation for that year and spring break even specifically. But so we'd even entertain if you're like cool with it, to consider approving it now. Doesn't matter, but Erica will present that. So this calendar is very similar to this year. The PD in August, the staggered start dates, and then the October. We try to have a professional development day every month. We have a week off for Thanksgiving, Christmas. A note the way it falls. On a Thursday. This year's a Wednesday. We have that full week off, and then because New Year's Day is a Thursday, we decided to take one more day and not just come back on a Friday, just start fresh on a Monday. So it's 1 day longer. The Christmas break this year coming back January 5th, and then spring break we're keeping the week after daylight savings time. I think that's what's best for kids because that's a rough week a lot of times for them with the lack of sleep and adjustment, and staff. Easter falls a couple weeks earlier, so we have Good Friday off in April. And then all said, though, even with all Thanksgiving and a longer Christmas, we still are adding one more day of student days. You can see if you read sideways in the right top there, student days 173 compared to 172 this year. And we still get out that first week of June on June 5th. So We really like this calendar. One thing to note, with everybody going to trimesters, the high school would like to add in another parent-teacher conference there in, I believe it was February. I'm looking at actually the old draft. February, yeah, right. One in the middle of every trimester. High school then, instead of having two, a Tuesday, Thursday, they just have one, and it would be a longer night. Instead of 4 to 7, it'd be like 4 to 8 and 3 of them. So pretty equitable in terms of the number of hours for parent-teacher conferences and staff.
So on the Friday, February 20th on a Friday.
Is that one? Yeah, I know for some reason I grabbed. Oh yeah, there it is, February 20th.
We do it on Friday night.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
Yeah, yeah.
it's not February 20th.
Well, it's pink, it's pink on like.
Yeah, but that's PD. It's supposed to be orange.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Gotcha.
So is that a student led or will the teachers be there?
The teachers will be there for high school still. They do not do student led like middle school. Yeah, and student led.
Please open it beyond I mean, is it ready to be approved?
It is. We worked on this a lot earlier. We've been working on it for 3 months.
Do it.
I have a silly question.
Yeah.
So then who do you work with to do this?
It's just the admin team does this. Yeah, we don't ask the staff for input. We had done that one year just about
The
things.
coaches give some input just around spring break and stuff. I thought with sports and.
No, they haven't.
Athletic directors here. RJ's certainly aware of what the schedule looks like.
You can only have boys and girls basketball left that late in March.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know if you're asking because sometimes you ask for staff input and it's just so many cooks in the kitchen and nobody can agree. And this has worked really well.
Motion to approve.
Hold on. Okay, so we got Derek made the motion. Who's second? Who got it? Dave. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries.
All
So
right, let's hear about these buses.
no, we
gotta do
we have
other
to
calendars.
Each one.
4K.
Slow down.
So 4K.
We have to look at 4K now. and
You
then
may have
summer
looked at it,
school.
but
It's all in that one.
Hold your rodeo horse.
It is. Y'all just different colors.
So anyways, Nate, when they say that you approved the school board calendar, you approved it, but the administration, they look it over and talk about it for many, many hours and figure it out. So, but
You
you'll,
just go back and complain to him. That
that is one thing people like to say that we do. Is we said it.
so you need a motion for each
Okay,
agenda item, right?
Yep.
I'm just breezing through and it's the same calendar.
all right. So are we good?
We approve the 4K calendar.
All right, Jeff made the motion. Brad second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next is consideration of preliminary approval, consideration of approval of the 25-26 summer school calendar.
Motion to approve.
All right, Derek,
Second.
Brad second. Any more discussion? All in favor? All right, motion carries. Consideration of approval of purchasing buses. So we've got Jen that will talk about these next two.
So this is kind of something new for staff because last year we approved a new purchasing policy. So anything that's over $250,000 has to be approved by the board. And also it's a kind of a change in what we've done in the past. These are two pre-owned buses. Both of them have less than 11,000 miles apiece. But they are Thomas buses. In the past, we have had international. And the last few international buses that we've purchased new, we've had a lot of problems
I'm a
with.
waste of money. Jesus. I just bought some for our work. But
And they're important to get the kids to school, but not $140,000 per piece. I mean,
27 grand, but they stay inside of the climate.
Yeah.
That's
So
the way it
the
is.
Thomas buses are a little bit more expensive than the international.
Oh, Bill's
My
buses.
understanding from Bo is that they're quite a bit more reliable. We do have a local, I forget what the name of the business is over on Roberts that can work on them and can do warranty work.
The
So,
diesel, yeah.
so they won't have to go, like, currently we have to send it to Marshfield for warranty work and all of this stuff. So I think there's some other positives within that as well. So that's what we're looking at for these two. They are 2024 model year, but they do have about 11,000 miles on them. And then
How much are they new?
I've heard they're close to like 170. And
These are the biggest, 83 passenger, I believe, the biggest we can get.
yeah, 82 passengers, so they're the bigger ones.
So we're
Lately,
taking
the
2 out of
inter-
commission?
Yeah.
They are out of, well, they didn't pass inspection, rusty, cross members and we'd went, a long time ago, we tried to one bus per year, and then you have like about a 12 to 15 year rotation. Well, then we got into some budget cuts and we got behind the 8 ball. So one year we caught up with buying 5, which is nice. You can buy 5 in 1 year for the price of 1 because it's spread out over 5 years. Then we kind of been 1, but yeah, this is nice because for $64,000 hitting the budget, we can get 2 buses this year that we got to pay for over the next 5 years.
And the other thing that kind of helps us with the lease payment part of it is that we were able to prepay on our bus leases. So we actually don't have, the only lease that will come back on the budget for 25, 26 is the waiting lease. All of the bus leases, we paid 2 years worth of payments. And then we also have 2 of those that are done after that 2026 payment is due. So I think, overall, we're not really going to be adding too substantially to that amount, as far as year after year as well.
How long are we keeping the bus?
These are 2005s, I believe, that we're getting rid of. And I think we might even still have an 04.
We're getting 15, 20 years out of it.
Mhm.
How many miles a year do we put on it?
I think somewhere around 30, 25. I think he tries to put some on routes and then maybe the next year switch them out so that they don't. So they're not on a route all the time, or maybe they go on a shorter route.
Put
for
your
a
buses
while.
on the further mileage one and then.
Yeah, let's try to keep them so that they're close to the same mileage for the year.
Are we able to keep all the buses inside?
I believe they all are right now.
Yeah,
That seemed to
mhm,
add a bunch of life. to the
definitely.
Buses when they sit outside. Cold. Well,
Right, and these last few now that we're replacing are the ones that did sit outside, of course, for many years, and that's what we're hearing is everything underneath is rotting out, and it's just.
So it's a Brad.
Sit outside.
You got one of the last ones.
So that's the purchase.
this is, you're going to the demo.
Yeah, are they?
I don't know.
That's a good spot for them. Those kids are all-
I did actually, for the lease portion of it, I did go out and, Nelson's bus service actually works with Daimler Financial. So I got a quote from them as well as Santander Bank, who we normally use. And Daimler's quote was 5.44% interest. And we were able to lock in with Santander at 4.9. So that was good to see too, because he had originally told me 5.25. And then he said the rates dipped down slightly over Thanksgiving, so he locked us in.
Wait,
at
so
that
you already
level.
bought these?
It's all contingent upon the paperwork being signed.
It's a handshake deal, but it's not signed.
So yeah, so 2 motions, one for the purchase, one for the lease. And then, yeah, any other questions?
Good job.
Thank you. All right, so we'll have a motion to approve the purchasing of the 2 buses. Dave made the motion.
Second.
Brad second, and then we move on to consideration of approval of the bus lease financing with Santander Bank.
You can vote on purchase.
Oh, you got a vote. You did a motion and second, but no
Oh, sorry.
voice vote.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Consideration of approval of bus lease financing with Santander Bank.
I'll move.
Jeff made the motion, Dave second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Possible future agenda items. Anybody have anything? All right, so we'll move to the upcoming dates that are important. January 15th is a school board meeting here at 7 o'clock. January 22nd to the 24th is the WASB State Convention. So registration is due this Friday. Kelly has Jeff, myself, Tim, possibly Lance. Is there anyone else that wants to go?
No.
No? Okay. All right. So that's good. Kelly, you can finalize those plans. February 16th is the school board development meeting at 5 o'clock. So that's a Sunday.
And it's supposed to remind Lee to get the commitments from Brad and Nate for the board book to the next development.
Okay. All right. And February 19th is the school board meeting here at 7 o'clock. And I think that's it. At one time we had talked about putting our board development in before the board meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, is that still something?
I think it's too short. I think it's
Yeah.
too much in one night to be a bit.
Let's do every other.
Okay. Is this the one with the admin?
No.
No, that's in August.
Yeah.
But I thought we were doing them too. Didn't we
Oh,
talk
that's
about
right.
that?
We would talk about twice a year, so that would be then. You guys
are
still
up for that, right?
Sunday night.
February 16th.
You know, you're one open night.
Well, football won't be over.
16th.
February 16th, the Lions.
Say the Lions.
Would that be?
They could probably
All right. So those are the upcoming dates. Now
He's
we
waited
will,
his whole life for this.
You're lying. When's the Super Bowl? It's not-
Since Super Bowl, like,
First Sunday, February.
yeah.
Night. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Okay. All right.
Could be worse, could be like it.
All right. We will move to the convene for closed session. We need someone to read that and make the motion.
Yeah, we do. Do I have to make a motion first? Make a motion to convene the closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 19.85-1-C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility.
You can read. You were telling me. you
No,
couldn't
we
read.
practiced.
Oh,
We practiced a long
Me and
time
Erica's.
under first superintendent's quarterly. Yeah. And I, like, he has it
I'll second.
in him.
Jeff's
What do you
Jeff.
think? I'll second it.
All right. All right, roll call.
I
I,
I'm still wondering.
All right. 8:05.